Cheers, brothers.
Hey, cheers, man.
Yes, sir.
Salute.
You gotta start every good podcast with a good whiskey.
Yeah, damn right.
All right. So this is a story about the first person who I knew who made it to TV. It was America's Most Wanted.
Whoa.
This kid. I met this kid in 89 or 90. I was in first grade. He was in kindergarten, so he's my brother's year. And he was the only other Indian kid in the neighborhood, right? And my parents, the first time he came over to our house, when he was leaving, my mom was like, "I don't want you ever hanging out with that kid again."
Damn. And where's this at? What's it?
This is in South Sacramento. This is Elk Grove, California. It's like 20 minutes outside of Sacramento.
Gotcha.
And it's a very like white flight neighborhood.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like everybody whose neighborhoods started getting a little too ethnic, they created their own. This is how every community starts.
Gotcha.
That's how Summerlin became that way, because the good neighborhoods started becoming dark for them, and so they're like, all right, we got to start over again, and only allowing certain minorities in, right?
Yeah.
And so if you got enough money, you can get in. We had just enough money to get in,
Yeah.
but then we couldn't use like the dishwasher or the air conditioner or anything like we didn't have cable, and
Damn.
so we had just enough money to get there, but then like barely enough money to sustain being there.
Yeah.
And so this was the second Indian family that moved in. And
I know at first y'all was a little lit, like, oh snap, we got some neighbors, y'all come look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I realized like the only people that we ever hung out with was like the Black, Mexican, and Asian. Like there was no white families that ever let us over, and like they
Gotcha.
wouldn't come over to our place.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't help that we had a schizophrenic uncle living at our house.
Shit,
Oh
okay.
man, we should have talked about that instead. I have hella
Schizophrenic
stories.
uncle.
Oh, I got so many stories about that. But yeah, so this kid, he takes off, and my mom's like, "Yo, I don't want you ever hanging out with that dude again." And I was like, "Yo, that's weird that like there's no other Indian people here." So my parents were like, "Yo, we'd rather you lose your identity as an Indian person
Yeah.
than hang out with that Indian person."
Yeah.
And they had incredible foresight, because years later he ends up on America's Most Wanted, and we all tuned in. Like we knew,
Damn.
like we're like, "Yo, man, this is gonna be the episode."
Yeah.
And then like in between, they're about to cut to commercial, and they're like, "If you've seen this man, or if you have any information," and they have like his police sketch and his picture, and it's like, why do you need both? Like,
Yeah.
who's gonna see him and be like, he looks like the police sketch I saw?
Yeah. That sketch artist is really good.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it was wild, man. Like there was a huge reward.
So would you pick up the phone? What you do?
Well, dude, we all knew exactly where he was, because he wasn't trying to make it a secret either, right?
Yeah.
So here's what happened. So he ended up on America's Most Wanted because in broad daylight, so the Sikh temple in Sacramento coordinated with a bunch of other Sikh temples, and they started like a youth group basketball league, like a tournament, right?
Okay.
Same way like any like Christian centers do over here.
Right. Church league. That's what we call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Church
so
league.
they started like little church league just with a bunch of little turban head dudes, and like Indian kids were going real hard on basketball, especially at that time.
Yeah.
And so this had been like 2006, I want to say.
Okay.
And so his enemy was going to be at that tournament.
Gotcha.
So he showed up to the tournament in broad daylight, gunned him down.
Damn.
With two of his buddies, and then they try to escape. They get both of his friends. He somehow gets out, right, and makes it to India. And
So he on the
that's
run.
why we already know exactly where he was.
Damn.
Because he was Facebook messaging us all. Like, hey, what's going on, blah, 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 whatever.
Just made y'all accessories and
dude, when I
shit.
started doing stand-up comedy, he's still in my DM, and he
Damn.
was like, hey, I saw that you're doing comedy now. That's awesome. You've always been really funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're the most famous person I've ever met. Like,
Sheesh.
so how it all started was there was this party in San Jose, and he was trying to look cool when he was leaving that party, right? So he put a gun out the window of his Escalade, and he popped off a couple of shots. But he's a monkey, and he forgot to aim up. And so he shot down, and one of those bullets ricocheted, and it landed in somebody's leg.
Damn.
Right. The leg of the kid that it landed in was his dad was the owner of a trucking company in Northern California. Well, the shooter's dad also owned a trucking company in Northern California. And just by luck, those two companies didn't like each other. So dads already had beef with each other.
Damn.
And now the son accidentally shot the other son. So dad of the shooter is like, he calls dad of the victim, and he's like, look, man, we don't want to let this get like spent out of control.
Yeah.
Like, let's make this go away. Let's bury it right now. I'll give you $1 million to just leave my son alone.
Oh shit.
And he goes, how about I give you $1 million and you let me shoot your kid?
Damn.
And he goes, well, looks like this shit ain't going away. So now for the next couple years,
How
like,
shit is that?
like the victim recovers, finds out where the shooter's gonna be, shows up with his boys, like jump him, and then that goes back and forth for a couple years until this incident where kid I grew up with shows up to the temple and just guns him down in broad daylight in front of children and everything. So now the feds know that he has his dad has a trucking company and they have a lot of connections in Canada. Any Indian person you know has a lot of connections in Canada. Like, that's just part of the territory. So they beef up security on the Canadian border, and they're like inspecting trucks. And they couldn't find him. The reason why they couldn't find him is because he got on a truck and went to Mexico, and then flew from Mexico to India.
Is this the story that's on America's Most Wanted?
Yeah.
Damn.
So now he flies out of Mexico to India, and India won't extradite. So he's just chilling in a village in India, living like a king, because they're making money hand over fist in Sacramento off of this trucking company, right?
Damn. It's like some Breaking Bad shit right here.
Tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So now the feds are trying to turn over every stone that they can, trying to find this dude, trying to find a way to get him back into the United States or just trying to get him slipping in any way. And as they're doing that, they find out that the dad has been using the trucking company as a cover to run cocaine from Mexico to Canada.
Damn.
So they pop him, right? And he's like, no, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't have any control over what my drivers are doing behind my back. And like he tries to play the innocent card. And now he starts beefing up lawyers because they got the money. They don't know how to wash it. They have too much of it. And so they're like, all right, we can get these badass lawyers. And so like the state is trying to build a case, but they're like, we got nothing. There's no way that we can do anything against the people that he's hiring. So then one day a random home invasion happens, and dad opens the door. Son's in India on the run still. Dad opens the door. This guy just comes in, guns down the dad. He dies instantly on the scene. Puts one in his mom's chest. She survives. She goes to the ICU. His sisters hear the commotion. They run upstairs to the panic room and they hide out until the coast is clear, because the whole family knew that something was gonna go down one day, right? So they had like a routine. So now, his dad's having a funeral. He can't go to his dad's funeral because he can't step foot on American soil. His mom can't go to the funeral because she's in the ICU recovering, and this is all because of him. Like,
This is a little dude from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
This is all just because of his decisions. Like how one little bad choice turns into something so much bigger. And now he finally got caught at India. Like he started doing like naughty stuff in India, and they're like, "Well, we heard they want you in America, so why should we use our assets to penalize you here when they want you for murder over there, and we'll never have to worry about you again?" So now he's serving 3 consecutive life sentences with 0 parole.
Damn.
No chance of anything.
Damn.
And dude's like, he thinks he made it. Like, to him, this was like mission accomplished. This is what he's always wanted. Like, this has given him like this has validated everything. Like, he was always into the worst gangster rap music and like mob movies and stuff like that. So he idolized the people that went in. So he's like, oh, cool, now I got something on my record. Now you guys know how real I am.
That's crazy. That's scary. I mean, even like today with the kids, that how they, get involved with this, what do you call it, VR, the game, the technology. So, when you get into those dark places, yeah, man, that shit can spiral out. It sounds like, oh boy, spiral the fuck out.
Dude, this guy was always off. He used to be like my little hitman when I was in high school, because I didn't grow until after high school. Right, so there was this dude that was picking on me, and he's like, "Oh, hey, you," and this dude was always like He was always big. And so he's like, yo, let's go to his house and scare him a little bit. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we pull up. I'm driving. He gets out the passenger seat. He knocks on the door. Dude that's picking on me opens the door. And this fool just comes in and just starts,
damn.
And we're out on the street corner, and we can hear him inside screaming and crying.
Damn.
We run inside, and like as soon as I get inside, I see him just cock his leg back and kick him in the stomach, and his whole body lifts off the floor. And his mom is standing there, and I was like, Auntie, I'm so sorry. We're leaving. Like, they know me for years. But this dude was never brilliant. Like, one time we're in high school, and he shows up in a wheelchair, and we're like, what happened? He was like, oh, I was cleaning my dad's gun, and it went off. And I was like, what? So everybody was gone, and he was just at home alone. And so he went in the dad's gun closet, and he starts like playing around with the guns. Well, you forget that there's one in the chamber, which anybody who's ever owned a gun on purpose, like legally, like anybody who logically has guns, they know gun safety.
But not a kid.
This guy's like 15.
Yeah.
And so it goes off, it shoots him in the leg, and he's upstairs. So he calls his uncle, and he's like, hey, I need you to come over. Like, I shot myself. And he's like, what? He just tumbles down the stairs and then just like keeps rolling and then just lays out on the front lawn, bleeding out from the leg. And his uncle shows up. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, are the paramedics on the way? He's like, no, I thought you were just going to take me to... He's like, why didn't you call the fucking ambulance, you weirdo? Like, you called me before 911? It's like, we didn't have cell phones at that time. You know, this is like 2000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
I see why your mama didn't want you hanging with this kid.
Yeah. So
I mean,
he,
what the hell?
Crawled over to the phone and then picked it up and then physically dialed 7 numbers instead of just 3. Like, he went to his memory.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy was always off, man.
Damn. Goddamn. So you from Sac? This is all in Sac?
Mm-hmm.
Shit. All right, man. Shit, I thought it was wild in Louisiana. I'm from down south, you know what I'm saying? I'm just now making my way to the West Coast. So Sacramento's where you're originally from?
Born and raised.
Born and raised. And what was life like before comedy? Because, I mean, you know, were you, hey, I was a class clown. What the hell were you even doing as a kid? Were you involved in sports and shit like that in school? Or what were you doing, like teenage years?
I feel like the same brain that has made me good at stand-up comedy is the same brain that made me a good criminal at an earlier age.
Okay.
So, I mean, there was a reason why this dude was in my life.
Now it's making sense.
Like
what the hell was you up to these days?
I was up to a lot of no good, and once the camera and microphone is off, I can tell you about a couple things because the statute of limitations has expired on a couple. But here's the thing: like, I'm not a felon. I'm not a convicted felon or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've committed felonies. Yeah. But like none of it was ever like strong arm right. It was never fucking with people. It was always fucking with government.
Yeah.
Which is why. Like, until this stuff's off. Also, like, I'm taking, for legal purposes, I'm taking artistic creativity, or what is it? Creative license. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Put the disclaimer out.
None of this can be used in a court as evidence because we are only trying to entertain.
Gotcha. All right. So teenage years. Let's fucking go back to understand this, because that dude had a lot of shit going on. And what the fuck was you doing?
I was supposed to have a very particular life path, like all throughout. Like,
your parents loved you. You had
Yeah, they were great. They were distracted, but they were awesome. Like they cared. Yeah. Like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I was in football, and my entire life I only scored. I was free safety.
Okay, I played safety too. Yeah, I was safety and defensive end a little bit.
I was.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was in love. I was absolutely in love with it. Yeah. And I always scored in like the 98th percentile on math and science. So like my goal was to like work for NASA, or like I was gonna go to like MIT or something like that.
My brother works for NASA too.
That was my goal, man.
Dope.
That's what I wanted. I wanted to be a computer programmer. Like I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be something like dope.
Okay.
And at that time, like I was a little hacker kid. Like I used to make you remember progs?
Yeah. They used to come in us. Yeah.
Like you could go into like a chat room and kick everybody off, and like you would just kill.
I thought you were talking about the little fucking spinny thingies.
Oh no.
There was something else we used to play with. It was like bloggers. There was some kind of little toys, little spinny things. All right.
What you mean pogs?
Yeah.
No, with the slammers.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Okay. Yeah.
No, progs. So pretty much what you could do is like you could send like mail bombs and stuff like that, where it would cut somebody's internet connection.
Gotcha.
So we still had dial-up, and like some people had a faster dial-up, but it still wasn't even really DSL.
Yeah.
So you can just go into a chat room and just kick everybody out. Yeah. Like it was called a punter. Gotcha. Right. So like I used to like program these things and find out ways to like kill people's internet connection. Like I was like just this weird little hacker.
Damn. What the hell did you do that for? Somebody just at the house watching some good old 90s porn or something, and you just like, you just cut their shit off?
No, I mean, you got to keep in mind, like, I mean, I'm doing God's work because, like, this is when ASL came out, right? Yeah. And everybody knows what ASL means, age, sex, location, right? And anybody who's asking that, 100% is a pedophile. This is just a whole room of pedophiles from around the world.
Gotcha. So you were cutting out the shit.
Yeah. Nobody in these chat rooms were like good, upstanding people.
Gotcha.
Right? So like I didn't give a shit. That was our favorite thing to do when we were like 10, 11 years old. Was that we would go into chat rooms on AOL and we just used to lead all these weirdo fucking pedophiles on. Yeah. We were like, oh yeah, my mom and dad aren't home this weekend.
You worked for the Chris Hansen show. I remember Chris Hansen used to pop up in there and shit.
I know, when that show came out, I was like, yo, we had $1 million idea the whole time.
Chris Hansen used to pop up. Hey, surprise, man. What's going on, man? What's up? Where your pants at? I remember that show. That was good.
We used to just fuck with pedophiles all the time. Like, and people were like, yo, isn't that kind of weird? I'm like, nah, because like for every hour that we were keeping this pedophile distracted, that was another hour that he wasn't
fucking
creating a victim.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Fuck them. They're pedophiles. I don't care about wasting their time.
Right. Like, cut the plug. Cut them off.
Oh, it was a joy.
Wow.
But then, and so that was my life path. But then ninth grade came along, and I couldn't sign up for football because they said I was too small, and they said you're a legal liability. You're not making weight. Like,
damn. How small were you, sir?
I was tiny. When I graduated high school, I was 5'4".
Gotcha.
So, and then like 2 months later, I shot up to 6 feet, like, out of just nowhere.
Gotcha.
I was always a small. Every class picture, I'm in the very front row.
Yeah.
I was always just this weird little fucking Punjabi kid.
Yeah.
Just with his hair slicked back, just. Oh my God, it was horrible. Way too much hairspray. Yeah. Like. My cousin's clothes because everything was like hand-me-downs and shit. But yeah, so once that happened, like once we got to high school and I couldn't play football anymore, I was like, well, there's no real need to keep my grades up because I'm not on the squad anymore. And then eventually I was like, well, I guess there's no need for clean pee. So then I started smoking weed, and then like my life went a totally different direction. Then I started getting super into rock. And I started playing guitar, and then I was like,
so you started within music.
Yeah, I always wanted to be in a rock band.
Wow.
And like coming up, I was always in like a punk band or a metal band. Or, like I was singing or I was guitar. Like
you was rocking. It's all in sack.
Yeah. Nice. I had like this. I had 2 5-piece drum pieces that drum sets that I put together and made like this massive, like this huge like Travis Barker drum set pretty much.
Damn.
Like I was always doing music stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, so you ride the music wave. It's a vibe in sack, I'm sure. I'm sure that's around the time you started growing the beard out. It was probably looked like my shit back then.
This started after comedy.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're getting there. All right, it's the good part. Maybe I got to restart.
No, so
how you did.
I started comedy because, like, I mean, I had a 3-foot mohawk. I had to do like Liberty spikes coming all the way down. Like I couldn't even drive because
head out the window and shit.
Like I couldn't go through like this door would be fine, but normal doors, like I would every time.
Gotcha.
It was massive.
Yeah.
I had like 9 piercings in my face. I had white contacts.
Oh wow!
I wouldn't leave the house without my guitar. I was playing all the time.
The white contacts? That's like I think Birdman has one of them. Where you look, it's kind of like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, and you just see the tiny beady
ass
people.
That's a lot. That scares me.
It terrified everybody.
Yeah.
But it was like that. That's who I was. That was my soul. Like I was like I
rocker. You're a rocker. You're that dude.
I was a scene queen hella hard, man.
Yeah.
Like I was such a little emo kid.
Yeah.
And then my brother went to UC Santa Cruz and they had a culture show. Mm-hmm. And after the show, they had an Indian comedian from LA who went up and they paid him $3,000 for the show.
Damn.
They paid for his flight. They paid for his food. They paid for his hotel. Like all of the expenses were taken care of.
Yeah.
And then he goes up and he eats a dick.
Wow, this is at college. College shows can be a little rough too. College kids don't
Well, I mean, there's like he's doing like pussy jokes and shit like that.
Gotcha.
And there's children and like my parents and people older than them. Like there's
Gotcha.
like 4 generations of human
Yeah.
at this show.
Yeah.
It's not just college kids.
Sure,
If it was just the college kids, he'd be fine.
Gotcha.
But
He wasn't reading the room.
he didn't see his audience at
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
and he tried to force maturity on a very immature crowd.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because this is a very like Indian people, by and large, are incredibly conservative people.
Yeah.
Like especially socially, like we don't cuss in public.
Right.
Like we don't
Right. He was
say
just doing the
naughty
most.
things. He was
Yeah.
doing all
Damn.
the work.
Damn.
And as soon as you do it once, you only have that one opportunity.
Right.
It's
They
not like
wrote you
strike
off
3.
at that point. Yeah.
You're Indian. You already know the rules.
Right.
So, like, I mean, if this was a black dude or a white dude or like an Asian chick or something like
they'd just
that,
be like, ah.
they'd be like, they don't know better.
Right.
But it's like, you know us, bro.
Right.
You
right.
are us.
Right.
Like, why would you think that this is appropriate? So
Right.
he had no forgiveness.
Gotcha.
So the first time he did it, he already lost the audience for
Gotcha.
the rest of the show. And then afterwards, we go have like a bonfire on the beach, and we're passing the guitar around.
Okay.
And then somebody goes like, "Why don't you start doing comedy, man? You're funnier than he is." And he had heard that, and he started treating me like shit the rest of the night. And then once I got back to Sacramento, I tried going to open mic night at Laughs Unlimited in Old
Oh,
Sac.
yeah. Shout out Last Unlimited.
And
yeah.
I didn't tell anybody because
Yeah,
I was like, I mean, the way my friends are, if I don't do well, I'm never gonna live this down.
Yeah.
So I did it. I did it well enough for me to be like, maybe
To
I'm
get
gonna
the
tell
itch.
people.
You want some more. Yeah.
And then the next time I showed up with like 80 people.
Damn.
And then like every time I went, like I would have at minimum 30 people showing up to an open mic.
Nice.
And I went with a new 5 minutes every time. And so like 6 months in, I got my first ever host weekend.
Oh shit. Hell shit. And this is all in Sac.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You already had a name in the city. You kind of made that transition into comedy. How long has it been there? How long have you been doing it? Since
What is this, March?
it's March
It's
2022.
pretty much April. Like next month will be 13 years.
Hell yeah. Sweet. So what transitions from there? I'm sure you're still working. You got like jobs and shit.
No,
What's been most of your career path have been?
This has
Have you
been
been
my
doing other
only
shit?
job for 4 years and 2 months now.
Gotcha.
So,
Before that, were you in sales? Did you customer service? Were you
I work for the
handyman?
government.
Oh shit! Get out there.
Yeah, I work for the Department of Education.
Okay.
That's why your kids are so stupid.
Aha! He was like, "It's my fault. It's my fault." It's all
And
right.
I was a star employee there, and I used to like I would show up late. I would leave early. I took like 2-hour-long lunches.
Yeah.
And like I would sleep at my desk.
Yeah.
Like everything. I did nothing there.
Yeah.
And like one time the lady next to me complained. She was like, "Yeah, he shows up late and blah blah blah, just doing all this." And my boss was like, "Yeah, and he's been done with his assignments for like 3 months. We're actually assigning him your work."
Yeah.
Like, doesn't it kind of upset you a little that the laziest person in the building is doing better than you? Like, you get here early, you leave late. Matter of fact, what are you doing for 9 hours a day here?
Yeah.
That the guy who's sleeping is able to do your work for you.
Yeah.
So you understand where I'm at right now. I can't really reprimand him when he's doing your job. So until you get caught up, there's nothing I can do about this.
Gotcha.
And then my boss pulled me aside. I was like, "Can you just make it a little less obvious that you don't give a shit? Like, just kind of hide it for me." I'm like,
Gotcha.
"All right, I got you."
Gotcha. So from there, you just said, "All right, I'm out," and you just slowly deviated to just doing comedy because it takes a while for you to start making some money in this shit too.
Yeah.
This ain't the kind of job where it's like I'm a comedian now, and then you get like the salary, or you got these gigs that are consistent.
That's what
You're
I was saying
free-falling, you know?
a couple weeks ago. It's like I left my day job because I was like, I don't want to have a boss anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what every comic says. Every comic's like, I was just tired of having a boss. But now I have like 45 bosses.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like I have to beg them for a shift.
Right.
Like any other job, all you got to do is get the job, and then you get your shifts,
Exactly.
and you're fine.
Exactly.
But with this, it's like you are interviewing and re-interviewing and re-interviewing. Every time you get a gig, you're interviewing to keep that gig and to get it in the future.
Facts. That's the whole message right there, guys. Straight
and
up.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's if you don't like the business side of it, like you better have a strong internet presence so that somebody will take interest in managing you.
Yeah.
Because like the only reason why this works for me is I know how to write emails.
Mm-hmm. That helps.
But otherwise, like I would need somebody else to take over. Like I know a lot of real funny dudes that deserve to be further than I am.
Right.
That they just can't act like a human when it comes time to meet somebody. Like they don't know how to just shake a hand and like just go grab a drink after or go get food or anything. Like they're just they'll ignore the booker the entire time that they're there and not even let them know that they're in the building.
Yeah. Bro, that's a big point because that taps onto two things. That taps into confidence because you have to be confident enough to be able to present yourself in that way. But you've also got to be a little resilient too, man, because, you are going to get those no's. You are going to get people that aren't interested. You are going to have to follow up. It's a lot like it's just like a sales gig. You're just selling yourself.
Yeah, like I teach like a business seminar for comedy where it's just like pretty much how to leave your day job.
Yeah.
And it's like it's finances for features, essentially. And I'm like, I know this sounds real rapey, but until it's a no, it's not a no. If you're just getting ignored, it's probably just that they didn't see your email.
Yeah.
Like, it's still a maybe.
Right.
But you don't want a maybe to become a no when it was a yes because you didn't keep following up.
Right. Sounds like sales. I mean, I've been in the car business for 15 years, bro. So, yeah, we have a saying that we say in the car business, buy or die. Meaning we're going to follow up and we're going to stay on that lead. You came and looked at the ES300. Hey, you came. What's up? Merry Christmas. You still looking? You stay there. You stay present. So yeah, there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, it's because also like these what comics don't understand is because we're so used to having just a job.
Yeah.
And those responsibilities are very cut and dry and clear and direct.
Yeah.
And what they don't understand is these bookers are generally the owner of the club. So giving you dates is just one of the things they do.
Right.
They're also keeping up with fire code and health code and inspections and inventory and liquor orders and food orders and scheduling their waitresses and their bartenders and hiring and firing people. And
all the club owners watching are like, yes,
exactly,
all of that shit, bitch, we do all of that.
Yeah, and even at that, like I have dramatically minimized what they do.
Yeah.
Like they're doing payroll and taxes and everything.
Facts.
They're wearing a lot of hats.
Right.
So you just gotta hope that the day that you sent that email is, and the moment that they open it, is the moment that they're looking at their calendar.
Right.
So you almost never get no.
Yeah.
Like even if a booker is thinking, you know what, I don't really like this Charlie Wilson guy yet.
Yeah.
That's like usually where it is. It's usually like, he's got a little something. Yeah. Let's give him like a year and see if he develops into what we need for our room. And then they'll give you another shake.
Another opportunity.
And I know like Tom Simpson at Stir Crazy in Glendale, Arizona, he loves when he was wrong about a comic. He loves when he was like, it's just not.
Right. And then that comment kills.
And then when he sees him like 2 years later, something like that, he'll be like, hey, why don't you come over and work in my room? And because he used to be a comic himself. Yeah. And so he knows that the time that he saw you isn't who you are and isn't who you're always going to be. Right. You just didn't do great that one time that he saw you.
That's why you can't, treat nobody disrespectfully. You can't ever look down on nobody because you see me where I'm at right now. Right. Just be patient. You know what I mean? And that time is going to come where it's like, oh, shit.
Every time I go back to Sacramento, I always go to whatever local showcase or open mic there is. And I check in. Yeah. I just sit in the back and I watch everybody. Yeah. And I'm like, man, this chick is...
We're a student too, man. We're students.
Fantastic now. Right. Like, whoa, this dude, I was hoping would quit when I lived here. And now... Like, this new joke he's doing is some next level stuff. It's like everybody grows at their own pace, and most of these club owners understand that. Yeah. So it's not completely you only get that one first impression.
Yeah, right.
Like, you could always evolve out of that initial reaction. I mean, I'm sure there's people that Laugh After Dark were like, oh my God, we got to have this person. They're going to be fantastic. And then after like the second or third time seeing them was like, they were still bad on the third time. Yeah. And it's like, shit, now we've already opened the door to let them in. Yeah. And there's people that initially you've passed up on. Yeah. that now that you've had them, you're like, oh my God, why were we passing up on
Yeah,
them?
they're
Like,
killing shit. Yeah, but that's the game because everybody wants to put their best foot forward. But as comics, every time you perform it, to your point, it's a new audition.
Yeah.
But so it's about being ready when that moment comes because our stage is, it's quite a stage. So some people that work in certain environments then come here, it can be a little bit much. Especially you come out here with the confidence and it's like, all right, shit. Our crowd is a little, we've got a strong crowd that loves the energy. So
right.
You know how it goes. You've been there, a lot of times, and you've seen obviously some comics get up there that have this big anticipation, but kind of like ooh, kind of slip a little bit
right.
there. So you can never really get too comfortable in this business.
You also see like some people that go up like real meek, and then they still like Conan has like a very soft vibe.
Yeah, like
to it. Even though he's a massive dude,
right?
He still doesn't have like stage presence.
Sure.
And he still gets over on them perfectly fine. Right. But
true.
he doesn't yell at them. He doesn't move around. Nothing. Like initially it's just he's a big dude. And so people will listen to that first joke.
Yep.
But his cadence isn't necessarily the cadence that would go well for
that's a good point.
Fremont Street.
That's a good point.
On a Saturday night.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But he's able to make that work.
Right.
There's people that you would think like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could recommend that person because X, Y, Z. But like anytime I put my name on somebody, I'm like, just check them out. It's a good friend of mine. That's as much as
we didn't have some cosigns. Yeah, like a lot of cosigns.
So what I'm gonna say is just give them a chance. I'm just making the connection.
See what you think.
If you guys like them, you guys like them. But
yeah.
I'm not really putting my entire career and reputation on a whole lot of people.
That happens too. Oh yeah, put him on his job. He's funny. People big hype, their peers up. Which as a comedian, it's a tough line because you want to look out for your people. You want to look out for your boy. You want to look out for your. Hey, put in a good work for me. So you want to do that.
I also want to look out for my own paycheck in the future of my career.
Yeah, because you co-signing, there's that impression on you too.
Man, I don't know if I can really
put myself out there for him. Yeah.
Because I'm not really at that point where I can call a club and be like, hey, you need to check this guy out.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing it, it's like I'm doing it as a favor to the club.
Yeah.
Like, yo, let me connect you with somebody that is gonna help your business tremendously. Exactly. Here's an asset that I'm bringing you.
Yeah.
It can't just be me helping the comic.
That's the point right there. That part. Y'all rewind and listen to that part again. But straight up, like if you the comedian that you're co-signing on, if they have more to gain than we do, then what is that? Who's the win for? Everybody wants that.
Right.
That's why our DMs and everything is full because everybody wants to get in. But what do you have to present to our stage? Are you sure you're killing it like you think you're killing it and you're that confident? I hope so because if you get the shot, you got to be ready. Yeah, like but every comic is a little
incredibly delusional. Like I mean, just out the gate, thinking that
everybody wants us.
100 strangers walk into a room and you're the one that deserves to be. That's a delusional thought.
Yeah.
Out of all these people, you're the one that should be up there.
But comedians are delusional. Yeah. And we got to kind of think that way too because we got to believe, hey, everybody's going to fuck with us. Everybody's going to think I'm funny. It's just being prepared when that opportunity comes. Have you done the reps in the rooms to be verified and feel good enough about what you've been doing to really position yourself to be sold? Because everybody wants to be sold and put on this stage and that stage, but are you doing the work so that when you do get there, you made that impression that you wanted to make?
Right.
So it transcends.
And that takes years of doing horrible gigs. Because if you've only ever done like the nice rooms and nice notoriety theaters and stuff like that.
Have you done backyards? You know what I'm saying? Like dispensary shows and shit like that.
Have you been in the trenches taking grenades?
Yeah.
Because like that's a problem with like a lot of the LA comics and San Francisco comics and like people that grew up in such a dynamic scene. Is like you can have a show anywhere and it will have an audience.
Yeah.
But it's like you're not driving out a couple of hours to do a terrible coffee shop.
Yeah.
So the difference is like we could go do your room in LA where you run this shit and you know them in and out and you always crush it. But then if I do it, I'm gonna crush it much harder because I've done the shitty gigs. Like I'm not skipping leg day.
Right.
Like
That's it. True.
You're just doing chest every day.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. That's fine. But then if a curveball gets thrown at you, you're done.
That's the difference too. In our shows, I think a lot of people may come from those types of stages to where they've always got that audience. It's in LA too. It's always a nice light, cool little setup. It's cool and shit. But when you get around like this, the America, because Vegas is a big melting pot. We got the Midwest, down south, Atlanta, Florida. So can those people still hear what you're saying and click?
Those people hate LA comics.
Yeah,
they don't identify with them because like everybody in LA has like a bit about like auditions or something like that, which works in LA because if you're there,
right.
Either you go on auditions or somebody who you are very intimately like familiar with,
right? Probably a roommate
goes on auditions, or it's like your cousin or your sister or your neighbor, or it's know somebody,
right? Of course.
So when you're doing this audition joke, it works because everybody in this room either has been in those shoes or is like, oh man, this reminds me of. I should tell Charlie about this joke because he's gonna totally understand this,
right?
But in Little Rock, nobody's ever been on a fucking audition.
Right.
You're like 4 degrees removed from anybody who's ever auditioned for anything.
Yeah.
So your LA jokes don't work in Little Rock. However, your Little Rock jokes work in LA.
Yeah. True.
When you connect with normal, regular people, because like also in LA, I always hear like a lot of like, I know I look like jokes. Like, I know I look like the guy who blah, 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 blah. And like, that's always everybody's opener.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, cool. You got that out of the way, now go on. And then they go on that same premise.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I have a couple of Indian jokes, but that's because I just did a gay joke and a white joke and an Asian joke and a black joke. Like, I just made fun of everybody.
I'm balancing this shit out.
And so just in case any of those upset you, like just in case, remember, I'm okay with you talking to me this way.
Yeah.
It's just jokes. And so they're like, I don't really like how he did that Karen bit. And then I do an Indian joke and they're like, this guy, he's just being a goof. And then you can't really stay mad. But when all you do is jokes about yourself.
Speaking of, not to cut you off, but the next thing I'm curious about is how has the community, your community, received you as you've traveled and you go to these different places? Are you well received? Because you get accolades from maybe the crowd.
Not really. Indian people have never been my biggest audience. Really, my biggest audience is old white Republicans. Like Chattanooga is my biggest market. Oklahoma City is my number 2.
Gotcha.
Like my biggest supporters have always been like the exact opposite of me.
Wow.
But I identify with them more than, because I was telling my buddy the other day, like I don't identify as an Indian dude. I identify as a comic first.
For sure.
Like when I'm looking at like my Maslow's hierarchy, like the most important thing is comedy.
Yeah.
Because like like even you, when you saw the Oscars, you weren't looking at it through the eyes of a black man. As a comic, you're like, oh, that was your very first thought.
Sure.
Was comic. So like to you, comic is number 1.
Yeah.
And then number 2 would be anything else, and 3 would be anything else, and 4 like. But the people who identify as a comic and a comic first, those are the ones that we jumped on and started making jokes.
Yeah.
But then the people who immediately started writing think pieces were like, see, you're not a comic.
Yeah.
Like even like Dave Chappelle had that bit about Michael Richards, and he was like, everybody else is like, oh, the N-word, you just shouldn't. He's like, and that's how I knew that I was a comedian.
Yeah.
First was like, he's having a bad set.
Yeah.
And like that's the truth is, and the people that only do jokes about like I know I look like, it's what they're doing is, their art isn't really self-fulfilling anymore.
It's giving the people what they think they want.
It's giving what they want, but what you're doing is you're making art that is about how the world perceives you.
Yeah.
Rather than how you perceive the world.
Come on, brother.
Right. So this is this is outside in versus inside out.
Right.
Where it's like when I'm doing any of the jokes that I'm doing, like this is a concept that has nothing to do with me, and this is my take on the concept.
Exactly.
And so that's freeing. That's
liberating.
Yeah.
Sure. And that's how you're able to connect to those people because it's your perception.
And I get to express myself.
Yeah.
Versus I'm expressing your thoughts on me.
Mm-hmm.
I look like a terrorist and blah, blah, blah. If I just did 45 minutes of that shit,
right,
it's just all I'm doing is talking from insecurity
Right.
the entire way through,
Right.
which is fine. Because, I mean, that's what, like, Taylor Tomlinson's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is she's speaking from insecurity, but she's doing it from an introspective way.
Yeah.
And she's doing it smart and highbrow. And she's not just shitting on herself. And
Right.
this is how you guys see me. And you guys are totally right to think low of me and this and that.
Sure.
Like, she's talking about, like, her real mental battles.
Yeah.
It's not gratuitous. Mm-hmm. And that's what I don't like about a lot of the LA comics is it's gratuitously self-absorbed
Yeah.
and self-involved.
Yeah, and that's why I like the Vegas scene, bro. You know, but we've been out here for like a year now, man, and Vegas has just been cool. It's been a breath of fresh air away from all of that, those little details that go into the LA scene. You know, there's a good community in terms of networking and popping up at this club and seeing all the crew and all of that. I do kind of miss that aspect of
Right.
it, but at the same time, you know, a lot of that still just comes with so much other stuff and fluff. You know,
So
that you
we
don't
still
really
have that
sell.
here. It's
Yeah.
just that we don't have 100 comics
Yeah.
at one
I
place.
know it's like a small community here.
So
bro.
now it's like I can have like a
fucking
real
30
conversation
40
with Brandon Hahn,
Yeah,
right? Like
right.
it's not just, hi Brandon Hahn, hi Charlie Wilson,
Right.
hey
Let's
Trix.
get this pic real quick.
It's not just hello, because anytime I'm at the comedy store, it's like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yo, what's going on?
Right.
Yo, what's going on? And I hated that.
Yeah.
It was every Monday for potluck, like
Yeah.
my anxiety would
I
be,
never did the potlucks, man.
dude, I would be
Never
the
did that.
first one there
Wow.
every week.
What time was
because-
sign up? Like 5 or something like that?
Shit, I don't
3?
remember.
Yeah. It was early. I was at work. I was
I
just
think
like,
it was
I
like
ain't got time for this.
6:30 or something like that
Gotcha.
because they knew that most people had work until
Yeah,
like
yeah,
5.
yeah.
So like
Gotcha.
they gave people enough time to actually get there.
Laugh Factory? Or at the
At
store?
Comedy Store.
Comedy Store, okay.
But like I'd have to be the first comic there
Yeah.
because then I can slowly say hello to people as they're showing up.
Sure.
Versus like having to say hello to 300 people in 8 minutes. Like that just gets me physically amped up
Yeah,
and now I just like retreat into myself and I can't
Yeah.
like I can't thrive in that. Like
Yeah.
like you ever hear that analogy of like a frog in boiling water?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you put the frog in the water and then you set it to boil, like it will slowly just sit there until it just dies.
Yeah.
Because it won't even feel the temperature reaching a point of fatality.
Gotcha.
Versus if you put it to boil and then you drop the frog in, it jumps right out. They're like, nope, I'm dying in that. And that's how I feel with like a party that's already popping off.
Gotcha.
Is I need to be in room temperature water
Yeah.
and then let it become boiling.
It's a lot more socially draining out there too, bro. I think that's the word, socially draining.
Yeah.
You know, with all that comes with that. Because even if you weren't performing in LA, there was
You're
somebody
always
else's
performing,
show.
first of all.
Well, you're always out. It's somebody
Yeah.
else's show.
Like-
There's an event. There's gonna premiere. You're popping up. Like most nights of the week, you're out doing some shit.
Yeah.
You know. So again, I kind of appreciate the tone that Vegas moves at, the speed Vegas moves at. As I'm still learning and discovering the comedy scene here, because there's still a lot of places I still haven't tapped into yet. Like I just did Wise Guys, a couple weeks ago. They've been around, so I'm, kind of, learning the scene here more too. But also because the networking isn't here like LA, I can't just roll up to the cellar
Right.
or Brad Garrett. You know what I'm saying? You have a ticket? Huh? A who? Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's a
Well,
different.
once you make your
different
intro, then you can.
Yeah.
But then you still can't just walk into the green room unless you actually know the headliner.
For sure. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same networking. Like at the comedy store, you go to the belly room, bro. You just in there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Take a seat, enjoy the show. That was just a place to pull up to, especially on Thursdays and shit like that, crack them up. That was just a place that was just, you pulled up at. But I don't see that same kind of pull up, out
I think
here.
LA comedy clubs that way.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's true.
Especially now they have the.
That's like the most for sure.
yeah, especially now they have like that side room.
Yeah. With the bar.
Because now we can all hang out.
Right.
Because most of the comics that they have, like I've known them my entire career, so it's like I have their set pretty much memorized.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, fucking this joke again. I'm gonna go talk to my friends in the lobby.
Right. And
So-
the dirty too. The dirty's kind of got a little bit of a
Yeah,
show
the
there where
dirty
comics will come out and stuff
Well,
like
the
that.
dirty's great because nobody else is doing a show at that time, so all the comics from all the clubs throughout the city, they'll all come down to the dirty. So it's like the one spot where everybody's like, all right,
Yeah.
the week's done, the night's done, no more work. Let's all talk shop and chill.
Hell yeah.
and so that's like those are probably the only two. But like,
And Laugh After Dark is slowly
Laugh-
becoming that spot
yeah,
too. You
Laugh
know what I'm
After
saying?
Dark's
I see
very
a lot
much-
of comments pull up that aren't performing or aren't booking, man. So it's been
Yeah.
it's been cool to kind of build that community as well as what we're doing. So that's one of the coolest parts I like about it is the Vegas community that's starting to really fuck with us. You know
yeah.
what I'm
Plus,
saying?
because your guys' bar is far enough from the stage and from the
Yeah.
audience
Yeah.
that like we can all chill as a group at that bar top without. Because like we're always gonna make jokes about whoever's on stage,
Right.
So it's like we could drop those jokes to each other and
Live
still-
action. Yeah.
and still laugh it out, whatever, and still chat with each other, and then plug back into the show,
Yeah.
and like we can have that dynamic over and over again without it ever like having audience members turning heads and being like, "Yo, what's the commotion back there?"
Right.
Like, so you guys have a good dynamic there. Plus, it's perfect because everything's walking distance from there.
Oh yeah.
Right,
For
like
fact.
you have good food and good bars from right there,
Right.
Versus at like at Tropicana or the Cellar or like any of the ones that are inside of a
Right.
casino.
Right.
You're kind of limited to what's inside the casino,
For sure. Or you're
or
beelining
you got
to
to
the house.
Uber somewhere.
Right.
Like there's no other options.
Yeah.
So like you guys are in a much more centralized location where like from there you can just take a walk and see like the crazy fuckery that
Oh yeah, fucking
that
Fremont
Vegas
Street. Yeah.
can be.
You get to see the heart of Las Vegas right there, Vegas.
Oh, it's lovely.
fucking Fremont.
Well, because you're not living at Fremont anymore, are you?
Yeah. I'm
You're still,
I'm
but you're not
at
going to renew your lease though.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out where the next move is gonna be. So I'm always kind of on this end of town. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I kind of fuck with the downtown vibe though, man. So I'm trying to.
But here's the thing, like do the math.
Yeah. As far as the
how
commuting?
often do you go out downtown?
Yeah, man, you're trying to make it make sense now.
No, but really, like pragmatically.
That's true.
How
Maybe
often
a
do you
couple
really-
times a week.
Couple times a
Maybe
week.
a couple times a week. But that's the most I like to get out anyway.
But how much are you like? Where's work for you?
Over here by South Point.
So
listen, Henderson,
so how
South
much
Point,
how
all
much
the
of your
area.
life are you spending
Over here. versus-
commuting to and from work?
Yeah.
Right. So the most important thing is
That's true.
living near work.
That's true, bro. I needed the reminder, bro. And gas is about $6 a gallon. My gas light
Right.
just came on. Boom, boom, boom. Shit.
Yeah, you gotta like for quality of life.
Yeah.
You need to live near
Where I
work,
spend
and you
the most
gotta
of
you
my
gotta
time.
kill your commute as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because then like you can get better rest. You don't have to wake up an hour earlier.
That's true.
And it doesn't take you an hour to get home.
Let
So
me
now
find out you're a life coach too, bro.
Yeah, for real. Hey, I'll give you the cheat codes for being at the very bottom rung of middle class.
Yeah.
Like I can get anybody to the absolute bare minimum bottom rung of middle class.
Yeah. What inspires and motivates you, man? Because you've been ticking at this shit for a while. You've been intentional about how you see yourself spending your time because you didn't revert back to doing some other shit. What inspires you? I mean, what are you? Or is there something you're working toward, or is there just a vision that you have for your life, or what?
I mean, I've been writing scripts and TV show concepts for years, and
Okay.
I've got a cartoon ready to go. It's packaged. It's done. I just need it to be picked up.
Okay.
I've got like a crime miniseries. I'm working on a horror film.
Oh, shit.
I've got like 6 different reality-based. I got like a dog rescue show. I got something that I want to do with 23andMe. Like I've
Nice.
got a bunch of projects that I want to bigger projects that I want to develop.
Gotcha.
And stand-up's not really stand-up is now the means to the end, where it used to be that was the end.
Right.
And I'm a very goal-oriented person where once I achieve a goal, it's the best and worst feeling.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, I'm like, yo, good job, buddy. You
Right.
you did it. You achieved it. And then on the other hand, I'm like, well, shit, now I got to set a new goal.
Yeah.
Because
That's
I can't
life.
just rest on laurels
Yeah, that's life.
at all. Like, I'm not that
Nah.
kind of person. Like, I always need to be striving towards something. So for me, like, not being in with Comedy Cellar
Yeah.
is probably the best thing that can happen to me right now. Because now I can hyper focus on that. and
Facts. Same, bro.
It gives me something to
Same.
focus
Work toward.
on when I'm
Facts.
home.
Yeah. But
once I'm in, I'm fucked.
Yeah, I can be hard on myself too, bro. But we're constantly leveling up, but we're constantly, leveling up. You know, that's never going to stop.
Yeah.
So I think we have to find the balance in being at peace and having gratitude and
Which makes
feeling
it-
centered enough to like, yeah, I'm reaching these accomplishments and I'm still working towards more. But that's the process of life, constantly leveling up. It's just a process in doing so, but you're constantly building upward. You know, as long as you're
Right.
building upward, enjoy the ride and fucking relax, and you're going to continue to build upward because that's
Then,
what you're
at the
focused
same time, I'm a huge paradox because my favorite thing to do is to be bored.
Yeah.
That's my favorite hobby is
Yeah.
sitting around doing
Nothing.
absolutely
Yeah,
nothing.
just lay in your drawers.
Like-
I watch Judge Mathis. I just lay down and just chill.
I just have Family Guy or Bob's Burgers on
Family Guy
reruns,
shit,
and I'm
that's
not
my
even
shit.
listening to it or watching it at all.
Yeah.
Like I'm just literally
Right.
laying down,
Yeah.
playing Candy Crush, and doing. I'm not networking. I'm not
Right.
keeping up with
The
like.
best shit ever.
That's my favorite.
I think
thing.
we got the same hobby, bro. I think we got the same.
For real, man. And when people are like, "Yo, man,
Yeah.
let's go," I'm like,
That's why sometimes I'm like, especially if I just came from some shit, because we're always on the move too as
Right.
comics, but we're always on the run. So when you do get those moments to just fucking relax and not do shit, it's like I gotta take it. I need this moment
Yeah.
so that I can have the energy and the capacity to go out and continue to do what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, so
So-
we're essentially we're extroverted introverts.
Yeah.
Whereas like we can be in public settings, but we prefer not to be.
Yeah.
So every time I go out,
Especially me, I'm a Cancer
it's-
too, bro. So
it's draining.
Yeah.
So I mean,
We gotta recharge.
Exactly. I got to get my batteries back to neutral.
yeah.
And once I can get to neutral, then
Yeah.
But if I'm operating in a deficit always, like
Right.
I'm going to snap and I'm gonna go
Right.
catatonic, and
Right.
then it's gonna be
Right.
It's gonna be a couple
Detrimental
weeks.
to everything and everybody.
Yeah, and
But
I-
that's why yesterday, bro, I took a nap. Not to cut you out. I was like, I just fucking took that nap. You gotta take those
Oh.
little breaks and those moments when you.
I took a nap. I took a nap right before we came here. Like, we went to lunch, and
That's
then,
why DJ was late, y'all. He was. Oh shit! Let me get my hat.
No,
Baby, where my hat?
I was perfectly ready to go. Okay, if I leave the house by 4:10, we should be perfectly fine.
right.
But this traffic trying to get on the other side of the freeway.
It gets a little congested over here too, man. I like it, but depending on the time of the day, yeah, you in that shit.
That's why I like our neighborhood.
Yeah,
that's why I like our
yeah.
building. Is I
Same,
don't,
bro.
I
That's
don't know
why I
what
like-
traffic looks like
Right.
because I just get drunk and moonwalk home. Like, it's fantastic.
Yo, our hood is dope, man. Our hood is dope.
But
Our hood is dope.
I'm not re-signing that lease. They're about to jump my rent to 26.
Dude, they did go up, bro. They did go up. It's been real. That's why I'm like, let me
Yeah,
figure this
it's-
shit out.
I'm about to apply for Section 8 very soon. There's no way I'm.
So before I forget, man, you got these all these scripts. I hope you got something shot, bro. You got to submit to Laugh After Dark Comedy Fest. You know that's going down in October. So if you got something that's shot, if not, get your ass to shooting. I think we still got time that you can submit to that. So Laugh After Dark Comedy Fest. We got features. So yeah, man, make sure you get involved with that. And please let the people know, DJ, where they can follow you and they can kind of keep up with everything else you got going on.
You can get me on Instagram or Twitter or what's the other one?
OnlyFans.
TikTok. OnlyFans.
Not there, right? Little beard
get me
porn. It's
on-
like, yeah.
You can get me on anything at DJ Sandhu 20. That's DJ SANDHU 20. And I'm gonna be. Let's see. Next week I'll be in San Francisco for the whole week, and then after that is Colorado Springs, and then after that is Seattle, and then after that is South Bend, Indiana, and then after that is Fort Wayne, Indiana. So for the next 6 or 7 weeks in a row, I'll be on the road. So I'll probably be in your city or
Yeah.
in a city of somebody that you love. So tell them to hit me up, and I'll take care of the tickets for them.
Hey, shit. Super dope, man. Y'all make sure y'all tap in with DJ, man. It's been nothing but a pleasure. Cheers one more time. I've been your boy, Charlie
Better
Wilson
cheers this
TV.
one under the table.
It's Laugh
You can't
After
show
Dark. Do tell. DJ Sandhu. Follow your boy. I'll see y'all next time, man. Good shit. Good shit. Let me borrow some of your beer. Hey, look. Hey. I know you got stuff to do and you're ready to get up out of here, but just a minute. Come on, man. You didn't already stay here this long. Now take just a minute and subscribe, please. That way you can stay connected. Like the video. Leave a comment. We want to hear what you got to say, baby. Now we appreciate it. Now go on and subscribe.